Travis Fimmel, you played Ragnar Lothbrok in Vikings, and you like that character played so many sort of different roles and things over the course of the four seasons of the show. Viking, King, Lord, all these different things. What was your favorite one to play?
Well, I was lucky. I got to age about 30 years in the show, so I really enjoyed being playing an older man. Yeah, it was. There's not many roles that you get to have the chance to do that, so I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and what was the hardest thing over the course of those sort of 4 seasons?
I suppose on any show you don't want to be repetitive. You want to keep stuff fresh and keep challenging yourself and not getting lazy. So yeah, always trying to find new conflicts and new obstacles that you can overcome as an actor or as a person that you play on the show.
What over those 4 seasons of the show, do you have a highlight or favorite scene?
Favorite scene. No, but there were scenes that I really enjoyed acting with Linus Roach and Athelstan, and I had great relationships between my character and theirs. You know, and it was always fun working in Ireland. It's a beautiful country and great people and a very talented crew.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the scene in the pit of Vipers from the most recent season. Just talk us through that moment and that scene.
I actually shot that. That was the last scene I shot for the whole show. It's just a lot of pythons and I don't know what other snakes, or rat snakes and that. But it was actually I wasn't worried about the biting. It was that it just stunk down there. They were all pooping on me everywhere. That's about it. But we couldn't do it for very long because the snakes. It was very cold, so the snakes can't survive in that sort of climate. So it was a pretty quick last scene.
So a snake's smell is worse than its bite.
Yeah, I suppose we can.
Yeah,
teach everybody that. Yeah.
And just like that was the last scene you shot, and just sort of talking about it from the perspective of 4 years ago. How did you feel starting Vikings and the first scene you shot for the show, and how is that different? Wrapping up.
I suppose the first scene, none of us had worked together before. We didn't know where the show was going, and I mean, every show you don't know if it's you're going to do a second one, you know. So we're all excited to be there. I'd never been to Ireland. Michael Hurst is such a great writer, and yeah, it's just as an actor, you feel lucky to have a job. It's so hard to get jobs, so I was pretty lucky. You know, I felt lucky and ready for a new adventure.
How did you feel closing that adventure when they call cut on that last scene, while I guess you're lying in a pit full of smelly snakes?
Yeah, no, it was good, mate. I think my character had run its course. Originally, I was only in it for a year of the first season, and I was very lucky to end up being on 4 seasons. And but I think my character had done what he wanted in life and achieved what he wanted, and he also had many failings, but it felt like the perfect arc and the perfect time to go. And there's such great. I had so many kids on the show, and the kids are going on to do a fantastic job.
What had your character wanted to achieve on the show?
I suppose it's like anybody. He just wants a legacy. He wants his children to be proud of him. I know he did a lot of brutal and maybe unsavory things, but he always thought he was doing the right thing. for the better of his people and family, you know. But he definitely made a lot of bad choices along the way.
You talked about the bad choices and the sort of brutal things your character had to do, and Vikings is a very sort of brutal series, not just from your character but other characters in the show. Did you find any of the brutality, the violence, some of the themes in the show particularly confronting?
It's a TV show, mate. It's just there to entertain. Nobody's meant to take it too seriously, you know. Yeah, it's just a show, mate. We're just doing a job. I mean, none of it. I think you can get away with a lot of stuff if you're doing it for the right reason.
Yeah,
You know?
and I think even more so in 2017 or 2016 compared to maybe 10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't know. It was a very brutal time in history, too. You know, so I think it's we're trying to be as true to history as we can. So that's the sort of stuff that happened back there. Vikings were raiders.
Yeah, when you were approaching this role, or as you approached this role over the time, did you do much research into that period or to Vikings, or do you just rely on the script writers and the other people?
Yeah, you always do research, but a lot of history conflicts each other. A lot of historians' opinions, and it's all based on sagas. You know, no Vikings. The Vikings didn't read and write back then, and so it's all passed on, and nobody really knows the true history. You know, it's all a guessing game, but we try to keep as correct to it as we could, you know.
There's the scene that we've already talked about with the snakes, where you're lying in the pit. You said that wasn't, other than the smell, wasn't too sort of challenging or scary with the snakes or anything. Were there any? There's so many other action scenes and battles and stuff in Vikings. What was the sort of biggest sort of stunt or something you had to do on the show?
Yeah, everybody says it's all action packed. There's certainly a lot of action, but it was, you know, maybe 5% of the show or something. But I always enjoyed the horse stuff, and it's always funny when you got 20 actors on horses. So it's a good laugh. Yeah, that was. Well, I forgot the question, mate. What was I?
It was, what was the most challenging sort of stunt or action scene you had?
Oh, challenging. Oh, it's just you do a lot of takes of running around and dressed in leather and all that stuff. But yeah, my biggest challenge is to remember my words, probably, mate. I don't have the best memory.
Yeah. What do you think was the nicest? So yeah, and action is a very memorable part of the show, but it only makes up a small part of it, as you say. What sort of character moment do you think was most important for Ragnar over the course of the series?
Probably his relationship with Athelstan, a young priest that he meets in episode 2 of the whole series. It was such a conflict of interest, and there was such different people with different beliefs and religions. So that was the most interesting part for me.
And how do you think that that character changes Ragnar?
I just really, I think Ragnar was always very open-minded, but there's a whole different world out there that he didn't know, and his curiosity and the knowledge that Athelstan could give him, and the respect that he had for Athelstan as a worthy friend. I think it changed the whole show, you know.
What's one of the most fun moments you've had on set?
The free food, buddy. Free food at lunch.
What was the best thing that they put out for lunch?
I'm pretty meat and potatoes type of guy, mate. It was always hot there. The soup was always the best. I mean, because it was always cold. the soup in the afternoon was or the night shoots, the hot soup that came out was my favorite.
Yeah, like particularly in Ireland, like you get cold nights and winters in Ireland.
Yeah, that's for sure. And a lot of rain. A lot of rain.
Mm. Yeah. Did the rain ever get in the way of the shooting and stuff?
No, we didn't have time. We couldn't. We got closed down one day, but then we went back to the studio and shot. We yeah, we didn't have the budget for it. We had to shoot through it all, and it makes it look a lot more dramatic on screen too, I think.
Mm. What's something that you think most people who watch the show Vikings don't know about the show Vikings?
I always thought we were underdog, you know. We have like, I don't know, a third of the budget of the big shows like Game of Thrones and that. And I wish the audience, especially in movies, actually, I wish the audience knew which movies were the underdog, not the $150 million or $200 million films. I wish they knew that a film was made for $2 million, you know, and it was just as entertaining. I wish the audience knew what a great director had to make a movie with such a small budget, you know.
Because yeah, it's interesting. With all these shows, they're sort of always getting compared on the same plane, but they didn't all have the same resources. They didn't all have the same, you know, stars, money, as you said. And it's interesting to see what directors and writers and everyone else that works on a project can do, even with limited resources.
Yeah, exactly. And that show was a great example of it, you know, and what the crew could do over there for the bang for the buck, and to deal with the weather and pushing around equipment and you know, extreme muddy conditions. And our show wouldn't be still on the air if it wasn't for the Irish crew.
And like sometimes when you have restrictions on projects, it can almost make them better. Like it sort of forces more creativity.
Yeah, for sure. That happens a lot. Yeah, I totally agree.
Here's a question. If you could, in your life, be any of the characters from Vikings other than Rhaegar, which one would you choose to be?
I don't know, probably Floki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why Floki?
Oh, he just doesn't really have a job. He just floats around being funny. Yeah. No responsibility, you know. He's just is a kid in a man's body.
Yeah, it's fun. And when you got how were you told that your character was dying on the show?
It's in the history books that he dies in a snake pit, so it was always coming.
Yeah. How I guess how were you told that it was happening in season 4 in that particular episode?
Well, it was always meant to happen in season 1, but no, we communicated a lot. I communicated a lot with the creator Michael Hirst, and I knew exactly when it was going to happen, and yeah, it felt like perfect timing.
That's nice. What would it mean for a show like Vikings, which, as you said, has limited budget, might not be on like, you know, a HBO type network, which has, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars for series. What would it mean for that show to get awards recognition for the Emmys?
Well, I think they deserve it so much, especially the crew. They're so talented. Yeah, like I say, I really think our show was a bit of an underdog, and if we had a shot at anywhere else, there's no way we'd be on air. You know, our crew literally runs around and pushing carts and dollies up hills all the time, and a lot of locations we had to drive in on 4-wheel drives. So yeah, I really think the crew should get the whole appreciation and deserve some sort of recognition, every department.
Yeah, because the show's got 9 Emmy nominations over its run, but it's never won one before. So it's gotten in for makeup and sound editing and visual effects, um, editing, and main title design.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's different. We're always on different locations. There's so many challenges on our show that I wish the public could appreciate by seeing or something. But it's not a show that you get to go to the same studio every day and do the same sort of things. It's every day is a challenge. Even working, driving to work in the weather and the extreme locations is a challenge for some of the crew.
Yeah.
You know, so it was never an easy day or a loungy day.
What do you think about now you're not going to be on the show anymore? What are you most excited for Vikings as a viewer?
I kind of love to see what my kids do. You know, some great characters. Alex Ludwig plays Björn, and I've got 4 other kids and an Aussie Jordan.
Nice.
But yeah, I want to see what they do. You know, I want to see how they progress and what decisions they make. And yeah, I'm excited. I'd way rather watch a show without me in it, to be honest.
Was it hard to watch you on the show?
Yeah, I never liked it. I've seen some of them just because I'm not in every scene, so I wanted to see what other people were doing, you know, and to see how all the departments are doing. But yeah, I'll watch it a lot more now that I'm not in it. Then.
What's the hardest thing about watching you in the show?
I don't know. Just things that I would have done different. You know, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan of myself, to be honest, man.
It's not the haircut that you didn't want.
Oh, I don't care about that stuff. No, I only watch it if I see if I can improve my acting, you know.
Yeah. I was talking to someone last week about a similar sort of thing, and it's sort of like they said very hard not to get in the mindset, almost like it's like you're a football team rewatching the game. Like,
oh, really?
What could we have done differently? How could we have done that? Like, stuff like that.
Ah, that's funny.
Yeah. So, I guess, Travis, thanks so much for chatting with us today about Vikings, about the Emmy Awards, and all the best. All the best. What's next for you, Travis? Now that Vikings is ready.
I need a job, mate. I need a job. I got a couple of things coming out next year, but I need to get a job. So if anybody's got a job, send me an email.
Yeah, that's the problem with getting killed off in a series. Even if it's the perfect time and it makes complete sense and it is great for the character.
Yeah. No, it was a great journey, mate, and work's all good. So yeah, I'm excited. Thanks very much for your time, mate.
No worries at all, Travis. Thanks for chatting with us.
Cheers, buddy.